this time of year is when I always kick back, have a glass of wine, and start doing firmware updates. Firmware updates are tedious and tricky things to do because not everything updates the same way. It's not just plug it into a computer, update it, and go. Or upload it to an SD card or a flash drive and then update it to your device and then you can go. So everything has to function differently. So I always take 1 time to 2 times a year to go through and look at all the firmware updates and start debating if the firmware updates are good to go ahead and update or if it's just best to hold off for the next one. So things about the Blackmagic cameras, they're very simple. You get one update, you plug them all into your computer, and then the update recognizes the device. Is it the micro cinema camera? Is it the OG cinema camera, production 4K camera, pocket, the Ursa Mini, whatever it is, and it'll recognize what your device is, and if there's an update for it, it'll update. Simple. Other things like the Feiyutech Gimbal I'm going to update today, you have to do that wirelessly, so you have to download an app and do that. And the next thing is the Aputure MC. You also have to update this through their app, their Sidious Link app. That's how you have to update this. Then you got things like the Nanlite. Well, the Nanlite, you have to put it on a USB card, and then you plug in the USB card somewhere here, and we're going to take a look at that. Here it is, and then you got to turn it on and update the firmware that way. Then you got the Nucleus M. You plug this one into your computer, and then you update the firmware. They got a bunch of files that you have to update one at a time to update the fizz, and then you have to have a 7-pin connector to connect it to the motor to update the motor. So I'm missing the 7-pin connector. I only have 7-pin to DTAP. So I'm not going to be able to update the Nucleus M today. The Nucleus Nano does not have a firmware update, but the M, I'm not going to be able to update that today. I'm going to have to wait until I can purchase a 7-pin connector to update the motors at the same time. And then the last thing would be the Atomos Ninja V. It's another thing you have to have the solid state drive for. So it's a very quick update. I already updated this. I'll just kind of go through it. You go to their website, you download the update, then you put it on the hard drive, the SSD drive. Put it on the SSD drive, plug it in, turn it on, and then update. It'll update itself automatically, it'll turn off, and then you unplug, take out the SSD, you turn it back on, and check to make sure that the firmware has been updated, and then you have to go in and register your device also. That's a big thing. Get an ID for the device, and then you can use the new codecs like ProRes RAW. So I've already done that for this guy. Pretty simple. They have instructions. They'll walk you through all that. So I've already done the Atomos because I had to be next to my computer that I don't have here. So I've already completed that one, and it is finally up to date with the ProRes RAW function. I never updated it. I don't know why. I just failed to really check it out. But once the ProRes RAW came out, I should have just went ahead and updated that very quickly because that's a great little codecs and one of those firmwares you really want to update. Gives you that option of shooting RAW out mini cameras. If you don't have Blackmagic series cameras and you have the Sony A7S IV and other cameras like that, it gives you that RAW. Now you can shoot RAW with those cameras. Before you weren't able to do that. So where do we start? Let's kind of start with, let's do the Feiyutech, the gimbal here. So I'm going to pull out my iPhone and I'm going to go to their app, and it should detect the gimbal itself. So it's connecting, it's reading the version, it says. And it says I got a firmware update. I got keyboard firmware update, unknown, report, remote control fix and bugs, Bluetooth connection. And we're going to go ahead and click agree or got it, and then we're going to wait for the update to go ahead and go through. This is so quickly and timeless, you know, it's going to take a while to update, it looks like, but through the app, it's such an easy thing just to have your phone right here and update it. So we were up to date on our Feiyutech gimbal after playing with it for a little while, making sure that all the firmware was up to date. If it is up to date, don't try to re-update it. You might put some bugs in it or something like that. So we're on to our Aputure MC little tiny light here. And for this, you have to go and download it from Google Play, I guess, or for me, I'm using iPhones. I just go to the App Store and you can put in Aputure and you'll see the Cydius link. Okay. Then what you need to do once you open that Cydius link, you can either sign in or you can use a guest account. But you need to turn your MC unit over to the BT mode. So you hold in the little scroll wheel here, and then you scroll over to BT mode and you push in your scroll wheel, and now you're in Bluetooth mode and the app will connect, 100% connect to it. And then we're going to hit OK. We're going to look here, see if there's a firmware update. You click on your MC. And it looks like, yes, there's a new firmware update. So we're going to go ahead and update now. And then we're going to drink some wine because this update's going to take a little while. Updating is fun. There's other things I want to update after this. Probably my Zoom H6 recorder probably requires an update. It's probably never been updated. I'm sure there's a decent update for that. I haven't looked into that one yet. But when you own lots of gear like this, you just got to constantly keep up with it because it fixes software bugs or there may be new features. One in particular is like this Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. The new gyro stabilization feature is a must-have. So I would definitely update this Blackmagic camera. Another thing I would definitely update is the Atomos Ninja V because of the ProRes RAW that you get in that. That's an absolute update you must have. This Blackmagic micro cinema camera is probably as far as an update it can ever go. The Tilta Nucleus M, do you need to? Maybe not. If it's working fine for you, just probably leave it alone. But I'm definitely going to update it just in case there's any software bugs or anything like that I'm not aware of. This Nanlite 60B, this is the only Nanlite I own that will be able to update. Everything else is a little bit older, like my Forza 300 and Forza 500. Those require a a wireless remote to plug into for you to have some kind of app wireless control. They're too old to update, really. The newer Forza 302 or the Forza 300B or 502, 500B, those guys, you can run Bluetooth through the app, some kind of wireless function. I don't know if it's 2.4 gigahertz or a Bluetooth situation. But the Nanlite 60B and my Pavo tubes are also, they're old. They don't connect wirelessly. They're this Pavo 1, the 15C and the 30C1. But the 15 and 30C2, and I believe 60C2, I believe they can run wirelessly, but I don't own them, so I don't keep up with that. But I know the 60B, that will run wireless through the app. So I can update the firmware on this, which I haven't done yet, and then I can open the app, and now I can control this light, probably mostly dim functions and the FX from the app. So if I'm sitting here and I have a hair light and it's like, that's a little too bright, I can dim it down, or maybe I want to do a storm effect and have it flash, or whatever I want to do. So that's the next thing we're going to update, and that will pretty much cover me all, besides things like computers that I'm going to update. I usually stay up to date, let Apple update my phones and my computers and my apps automatically. So especially apps like the Sidious Link, Aputure, and the Feiyutech app, and the Nanlite app, let those guys automatically update on your phone and device. That way you already have the latest firmware. So you just connect them Bluetooth or wireless or whatever they connect with, and then you just go to the app and update everything. That's the best way to do things. So now I've rambled on for this amount of time. I'm almost done, 98, 99, 100% on the MC Aputure light. I'm going to hit OK, and now I should be able to reconnect. So I'm connected here, and then I should be able to go on there and I should change the color temperature. Let's go 3200 on the Kelvin there, and then change back to 65, more blue. Then I have intensity. Now I can dim it down and I can bring it up. All kinds of functions in here. I could change the color temperature balance. Looks like you can do full blue, 3/4, half blue, quarter blue, eighth, without. Do daylight with some CTO. I don't see a function for the HSI. Oh, there it is. So you can do your color wheel here, and you just spin it around to say whatever color you want. Pretty cool, pretty good little app that works with most all of the Aputure devices. I have to say, Aputure is a little bit more ahead of Nanlite. I think most all of their devices from day one were able to connect to the Sidious Link. And now with Nanlite, I have to buy all new lights to connect, or I have to buy a control function or something like that to connect them. Okay, so now that that's done, let's get out of this app. Let's turn this off. And let's move on to the Nanlite 60B, which requires a USB. So you have to have a USB formatted and completely empty for this to work. So you go to Nanlite, you go to their software support link up there, and you just download it and unzip it to the USB. So that's the first and only folder. I just like to have the only folder on this USB stick. And then you need to plug it in the bottom here. And we're not going to do that. We're going to move this like this. And we're going to plug it into the bottom here. Should plug it up and turn it on, and then it should ask about a firmware update. So apparently the first flash drive I used is not USB 2.0. It's got to be either USB 2.0 or 3.0 for it to work. So you plug in your flash at the bottom, you turn your machine on, it starts up, it says, do you want to back up firmware? Hit over, enter, updating. That's a quick update. That's why I like USB or direct connection updates, because they're usually faster. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Since it's updated, let's unplug our flash. Let's get out our handy little iPhone here. Let's go in the Nanlite app. Let's turn on our little Nanlite 60B. And let's see if this worked. Yes, shows up there now. Before it did not show up there. Now it says Forza 60B. If you can see that, let's select that. Say done. Now it's setting up the fixture. It could take some time, and this is why we drink a lot of wine. Because firmware updates always take time. Takes time, like I said, takes time to figure out how everything actually works. Do I need to plug it up to a computer? Do I need a USB drive? Do I need a SSD hard drive? Do I need wireless apps? All this stuff. It all takes time to figure out. So it looks like we're connected. And here we are. Here's our DIMM control. And here's our CCT. So we can go down to color temperature 32 or 2700 on this guy. And then we can go all the way to 6500 on this guy, and we can brighten and dim this. So I now have two lights with some simple firmware updates that I can mobily use on my phone anywhere, anytime. I don't even think you really require wireless with these. I think they're all Bluetooth. So you don't have to have a wireless function. You can be outside somewhere without any cell phone service and still connect all this stuff. I would hope so. Don't take my word for that, but I hope so. But that's going to be it for that. Turn that off. So yeah, keeping your firmware up to date is a super important feature, and kind of knowing how to use your apps and work everything together is very important, because you never know when somebody updates a new feature onto a device that you may really benefit from as a filmmaker. So this has been another tip from Core Creative Media. I hope you liked this video. Remember, like, subscribe, and after you do all these firmware updates, remember to go out and shoot.